ihsan yawm al-din. Indeed, is all praises due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it is a blessing and a bounty for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us to Islam and to bless us with the month of Ramadan and with the prayers and the guidance, this beautiful gathering, and just the ability to figure out right from wrong. I mean, think about it. If the Quran wasn't revealed, what would the world look like? Right? I mean, just give it some deep thought. It would be a wild jungle, right? People doing anything, anytime, anyway. You know, it's just going to be totally chaos. Inshallah, today just want to talk about a Sahabi, and then towards the end, inshallah, maybe someone can tell us who that Sahabi is. He's someone who lived deep in the desert during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and he came from a tribe called Daws. His name prior to him becoming a Muslim was Abdul Shams, or the servant of the sun, or the slave of the sun. And he embraced Islam on the hands of one of his fellows, his companions or friends. His name was Tufail ibn Amr, and they came from, both of them, from this tribe of Daws in this deep place in the desert. And he lived amongst his people with his friend Tufail for a number of years, where they were giving da'wah. They were spreading the message of Islam among their tribe, you know, teaching them and you know, guiding them towards Islam. And then after 6 years after Hijrah, they both joined the Prophet ﷺ in Medina, and they had a big group with them from their tribe who lived there in Medina. And when they left their small place in the desert, they had no belongings with them. They had nothing. So they lived with a group called Ahl al-Suffa. Ahl al-Suffa was a very poor group of people who would live, you know, at the back of the masjid, or just, you know, hang around the companions and the believers there. So when he went to Medina, he met the Prophet ﷺ, and he asked him, you know, who are you? What's your name? He said, my name is Abdul Shams. So the Prophet ﷺ was known that if someone had a name that wasn't a good connotation or meant something not very positive, he would encourage that person to change their name. So he changed his name from Abdul Shams to Abdul Rahman, which obviously is the servant of the all compassionate, or ever compassionate. And at the time, there were a lot of cats in the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ, and these cats had little kittens, and they would gather over the Sahabi. So as he would pray, they would come and jump on him. They would get inside his sleeves, and some of the small kittens would jump on his shoulder and so forth. So the Prophet ﷺ and the people of Medina, really, they called him with a nickname, and the Prophet ﷺ had a very similar nickname. At the time, he didn't have a wife or any children, so he used to join the Prophet ﷺ, you know, most of his time. He would accompany him in his gatherings and sit down with him. So he learned a lot about the life of the Prophet ﷺ and about Islam. So we'll stop here, inshallah, and see if anyone kind of got a tip who that Sahabi is. Any thoughts? Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. So his name was, his nickname was the father of the kittens, and the Prophet ﷺ used to call him Abu Hir, the father of the cat. So that's what he was nicknamed by. And as we know, he's a great Sahabi who narrated tons of ahadith, you know, describing different aspects of the life of the believers and the Prophet ﷺ. جزاكم الله خيرا سبحانك وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.